you come from a musical family. Your father, your uncle are all very famous guitarists and also arranger, composer. Can you tell
Yes.
us like how your encounter with music was like when you were young?
Oh yeah, I grew up in a household full of music. My father and my uncle were practicing 24 hours a day.
Wow.
I mean, really not well, they slept and ate, but that's about it. Went to the bathroom, but that's it. They never stopped practicing. And when they were not practicing formally, they were like jamming with other
Mm,
musicians and playing with my grandfather. He used to be an amateur mandolinist, and he also never stopped playing.
mm,
So every time we would like go to his house, music would be playing. Go to my house, music would be playing. It was nonstop. And I think that when you're a child, you are just absorbing
yeah.
the environment, what's going on
Yes.
around you. And that is how probably I got my start
Hmm.
and having the passion for it, right? Yeah.
Yes. Were you also
Yeah.
playing instruments with them, like jamming with them at the same time?
I used to sing and I used to
Mm,
write my own songs and melodies. They were very simple. But I liked writing and rhyming on the spot,
okay.
like
Hmm.
improvisation.
Right.
Though I didn't call it that back then. It was like I loved making up songs as soon as people walked into the door, and they
Oh.
were usually like funny words. It's like, yeah. Some of my family members still remember those moments very fondly because it was
Mm.
kind of funny, like this little kid just come out and start singing about what's happening around them. Yeah.
Wow, that's so special. It's almost like you're characterizing the things happening around you. Is that right?
Yeah, it was my I guess my a way of communicating,
Mm.
right? I
Right, right.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and of course I got attention for it too. Don't kid yourself. I liked the attention as a kid, especially when you have like a lot of like family, young cousins and people, like you're like pretty much fighting for attention. And that was one of the ways I got it. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna perfection this because it's good. Everybody wins.
Nice, nice. Yes, you mentioned absorbing everything around you. What kind of music were your I mean, the family playing when you were young? Like, what kind of
Yes, of course.
musical inspiration you got when you were young?
Well, my father and my uncle, they are classical guitarists.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, they were going through the classical guitar repertoire,
Hmm.
which I know by heart. I think I
Wow.
know every note because they would play it like repeatedly to practice. And you know how it is practicing, you have to repeat a lot. And
Yes.
my grandfather played a type of music that was and still is very popular in Brazil right now called
Mm.
choro. Like,
Shoto.
really, it would be the comparatively speaking,
Mm.
what ragtime is to American music. It would
Interesting.
be like our ragtime,
Yeah.
the music
Hmm.
of that time,
Right.
the mixture of different cultures coming together, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So I heard that a lot as a child,
Hmm.
but also coming from the radio in the 80s, you heard pop music from the US, and my
Right.
mother loved singing Brazilian popular music that is sung like by artists of that style. So I heard that
Mm.
too, and of course, can't escape from everything that was just like pretty much, I don't know, TV music, or it was
Yes.
a lot of different sources of, yeah,
Mm.
of
Yeah.
input.
A lot of input. It is very important for a composer, right? To have so
I
many
think so.
different stimulus around you. And I saw you also lived in different places when you were growing up. You were in France and now in the States. Can you tell us more about that? Moving around and the music around you?
Yeah, of course. So my father again, he's the reason why I got into music,
Mm,
and he's the reason why I left uh, my original country because unfortunately, I mean that's the unfortunate part. It's not easy to make music in Brazil, not this kind of
uh,
music
I see.
because yeah, it's it's very, very difficult, and
Mm,
you need opportunities in order to grow your craft, right? So what happened is that he did find that in Brazil. So once he started touring, and that was a long time ago in the 80s again, he he found a lot of success and opportunities in Europe at the time.
mm,
So it started with me and my other family members, like the kids of my uncle who plays with
mm.
my father, going to meet them
Y-
there and spend time together. So I started traveling to Europe at a very young age. I think I was younger, like as young as 9 years old the first
Mm.
time. And
Whoa.
then you start again absorbing a lot of that culture.
Yes.
I have such a fondness for French music. Actually, I really
Mm,
love it because I got there and I got introduced to that at a very young age. And then again, eventually he moved to the US and I went after him because I wanted
mm.
to live near him because he's like a role model for me, right?
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And then I went to college in the US, late 90s.
Mm.
I didn't plan on staying, but I here I am. Life just life abducted me.
That's a great way to put it. Life abducted you. That's cool. That's cool. So you said you never decide to choose an instrument, but how did you become serious about composition when you were going to college?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, my father and my uncle, they are virtuosos of the guitar, right? Both of them. But I was not a virtuoso of anything.
Mm,
I couldn't really play at that level. I just did not have the physical capacity even. It took me a long time because of it's it's a disorder that some people have genetic the disorder that doesn't allow your like joints to be strong enough. So it took
oh,
me a long
okay.
time to be able to play an instrument. And with instruments, most of the time you have to start really young
Right. Right.
to be able to play at a certain level. So that was not a choice for me. And I saw music as composition as the way that I could actually develop my, let's say, I some kind of virtuosic trait or
Mm, mm.
something
Yeah.
comparative to that. Now, I'm not saying I'm a virtuoso composer, but you know what I mean, that I could go far because I would not need my body to do that, but my mind,
Right.
and that I could stretch over a long period of time. And then, I'm a little bit of an overachiever, and I really studied piano seriously, and got as far
Mm,
as I could go, but I could not ever play like you know? And but and that's okay. I can live with that. I don't have a problem with that. It's good that I'm able to communicate
right.
through what I do. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. So it became a language for you, and you are using the language to express yourself, to practice your mind, to do whatever creativity that you have in you, to
Yeah.
come out as music. But still, so you went into composition, you write music, you also arrange music. You arrange music from different genres. I'm fascinated by the Wikipedia page of you, because you are blending the genre. You are in the classical world, you are having romanticism, jazz, popular culture, Brazilian music, everything together to influence your music and come out to such a special language that you have. Like all these different backgrounds and music just shape your music. Um, like the archetype that you are working on, can you tell us more about this project with your father, Sergio, and also the Third Coast Percussion?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for the accolades. Thank you so much. You're very sweet.
Oh,
I'm uh I'm really sure that the reason why I can draw from so many different styles is also because I'm from Brazil, and that's pretty much how the country came together, you
mm,
know? Like we have all these influences, all like some of it happened in horrible ways with colonization, invasion, as all the wars, and it's crazy. But the good part of it is that we get, I think the music and arts in general, like they are the only good things that came out of it. You know, of all this dreadful past that we have. But we do have, the music comes from these connections made
Hmm.
by the people that were there at some point and kept growing.
Mm.
It's amazing. And now, you know, even more because we have a lot more access to the world. And that ties a little bit to the story of archetypes because as a Brazilian artist, I have many of the legends and stories that I know, they are tied to my cultural background, but I live in the United States and I love to tell stories.
Mhm.
But some stories don't really translate well because you don't know who the characters are, you don't
Right.
have like any emotional tie to those stories. But how do you tell a story without being specific? Is that you go to the source of what the story is. And that's how we came up with the idea of doing a project with archetypes.
Mm.
Because in every world, like we find these stories that you can relate to in your own culture.
Right.
Everybody has a hero, everybody has the lover, everybody has um, the victim, right? We
Yes.
all have we all have stories that relate to them. They're really kind of universal in that way, worldly, I
Mm.
would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So you each compose one of the archetypes in this project, and I saw you composed four of them, and I'm playing one of them. It's called the hero. Is
Yes.
there any specific story that you were thinking of when you composed this movement?
Oh my goodness, that's interesting because whenever I write music, I like to
Yeah.
have some kind of pictorial image, like
Yeah.
something, images and things I can be inspired by. And in this case, for the hero, I couldn't help myself but go to when I was younger and loved to read comics. I
Mm.
loved comic books. I thought they were
Oh,
so great because they flew off the page, but they weren't
right.
moving images. They were like static, right? And I
Yes.
think that's really kind of an interesting thing. Um, Whenever you read anything, right?
Right.
Your imagination gives them life, right? Even though they're static things and you're
Yes.
reading, your imagination can do a lot more of the work of filling up the gaps. And that's why I got this music. What if I gave these static images a soundtrack, you know?
Oh.
So that's how I came up with that. And it's like from drawing from those experiences of reading those books with static, exciting
Mm.
images all over them.
I saw you are doing concerts in Hartford. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, of course, I'm doing a piece that I wrote for orchestra and audience members.
And
It's
audience members.
yes, it's a little out there.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's called ego, which means
Echo.
goal, like when you score,
Mm.
you know, in
Mm.
soccer.
I see.
And it's an homage to a Brazilian soccer player, a female Brazilian soccer player called Marta Vieira da Silva. So it's a day in her mind, the day before she has
Interesting.
a big performance, kind of a fantasy world. And the audience gets to sing and do mouth percussion, beatbox, and all kinds of interactions. It's going to be fun.
Can you tell me more about how the audience can interact with the music?
Of course, yeah, I have it's it's like a big screen behind, you know,
Okay.
the
Behind the
orchestra.
orchestra.
That's right. And then over there they can see instructions like
I see.
and yeah, so I'm responsible for conducting the audience. So I
Oh,
kind of lead them through everything they have to do, and they have little pockets of space where they can pretty much do all of these sound effects, right?
that's so cool. Are you trying to
It's
recreate a
different.
soccer game in the concert hall?
Not
Oh,
that.
okay.
And also
No.
like that and that has been done like before. There's a
I
Brazilian
see.
composer who wrote a piece that has elements of a soccer game, but it's more
Mm.
looking for ways in which the audience can participate, and that's why I created a little storyline to go with it.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I think it sounds so interesting. It's so meaningful to have the audience to participate in a happening, especially in the post-pandemic world we are in right now, right?
Yes,
Like,
I
how
think
did
that's
you?
why that's why they programmed it.